The champ is here.
We will definitely not shut up and dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the world.
Yes, welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man.
Your mates.
Yes, he's a DB of the show, and we are Black in Sports, giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. Here interviewing the best professionals in the game and in the boardroom. And this guy we have tonight is a little bit of them both. So we're covering it all, lapping it all, while providing a platform to be heard, man. So you know how we do it, man. We want to welcome our guests in tonight, man. So once a Raider, always a Raider. So you definitely have heard that before. And at the end of his career, you know, he penned an open letter to the organization saying, hey, this is not goodbye, but I'll see you later. So, hey, later's now. And we have the senior advisor to the owner of the president of our Las Vegas Raiders. Please clap it up for Marcel Reece, man. Thank you, sir, for being on the show.
Man, I appreciate y'all having me on. What's going on?
Oh, man, what's going on, man? We excited, man. We want to dig into it, man, because we know time is precious, man. So how we start the show is we start the show with a shoot your shot moment. And this is where you just kind of tell us the time when you shot your shot, man. It could have been in the younger days. It could have been out in the ballpark. It could have been with the ladies. But just a quick shoot your shot moment. And you can't give us that, man. I always shoot my shot, man. You got to give us a legit shoot your shot moment. Go.
Wait. Is that really how we kicking it off right now?
Absolutely. Put you on your toes. I see you dancing. I see you step to the left, step to the right. Really quick. You got to hit that hole, man. Let's go.
I'm really just trying to be smart about this.
and we understand that.
And make sure that I'm telling you about the right shot for the right time that I shot. Because I'm, shoot or shoot unconsciously.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But really, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna just go from I'm gonna be a smart husband and tell you about the time I shot at my wife.
There you go.
It was the first time we ever hung out privately together, just the two of us, and I told her, "You're gonna be my wife." I told her that it was a wrap. She didn't stand a chance, and she laughed at me. And she tells a story to this day. She laughed at me. She tells people, "Oh yeah, we started off as friends," and I'll be like, "Nope." She knew my intention from day one, and friends was not it. And she was gonna be my wife, and going on 12 years in June, she's still my wife.
Let's go.
So that's one of those Steph Currys, we're in the NBA playoffs. That's one of those Steph Currys where you just shoot it up and you start running back.
Turning back on defense.
You said the other way. Let's go. mate.
So Sal, where did your love for sports start?
Man, my love for sports started in the womb. I was, I'm a twin. A lot of people don't know that, but my twin brother Mark and I, right out the womb, we started getting it. We were always together, always on the same teams, always had a 1-2 punch no matter what we were doing. When he was pitching on the mound, I was his catcher. When he was the point guard, I was his small forward. And we were both DBs on both sides of the field, both running backs, both receivers, and we were always kind of doing it together. We didn't have much growing up, but what we did have was athleticism, and we knew that sports. We realized we didn't know, but we realized that there was something special about sports. There's something special about, I always say, sports and food. They bring people together from all different walks of life, all different cultures, and gives you something to appreciate.
Absolutely. So you mentioned just your brother and kind of growing up, man. So born in Inglewood or grew up there, or what was it? How was it kind of growing up in that area?
Born, raised, and bred in Inglewood, California. That's just who we are. It's in us. And what I mean by that is, at the time we grew up, we were born in 1985. So, mid to late 80s and all of the 90s growing up in LA, there was a certain lifestyle and culture about the way that we grew up that we embraced. And it taught us how to grind, how to persevere. And, grew us into the men that we are today.
So grinding in the sports, 3-sport athlete in high school, man. Talk to us a little bit about that. Basketball, football, track.
So there was a fourth sport that people really don't know about, and it's volleyball.
Oh, okay.
Because we played baseball our whole life.
Okay.
And then I told my mom as I was going to the freshman league, my mom said, I don't want to play baseball anymore. And she was like, "You're so good at it." I was like, I'm just not doing it. And she was like, "Well, listen, you ain't gonna be in my house or on them streets, so you better find something else to do." So in turn, in California, we had men's volleyball indoor gym. And I'm like, man, I jump out the gym. At the time I couldn't wear the little polo shirt. So I was like, I'm gonna revolutionize the game real quick and change the uniforms, and I'm gonna go to volleyball. But yeah, man, like I said, we were athletes. I didn't play football until I was a junior in high school. And
oh wow.
I wasn't one of those little league guys who played since he was 6 years old. My mom's, it's a lot of us. It's 8 boys in our family. My brother and I are the oldest, so she was like, she was always afraid that her boys would get hurt. We were all she had. So she was like, ain't no football going on in my house. You do all the other stuff, but I'm not gonna let nobody just go hit on my babies. So we really didn't have the football, but we could do anything and everything, and still could do anything and everything. So,
all right, I knew he was gonna get to that. I knew he was gonna get to the hoop stuff. So I know you're gonna get to the steal, and it's NBA playoffs. So I want to hear what your hoop game was like. I know you went to school to hoop, but I want to know what your hoop game. Give me the scouting report. I need to know.
Listen, I could show you better than I could tell you. I'm gonna tell you that much. But what I will say is I'm one of two people on the 2003 California All-State team, high school All-State team that did not go to the NBA. And the only 2 people that didn't go to the NBA were myself and Evan Moore, who went to Stanford, and then he also went to the NFL, played for the Browns. And I'm gonna just leave it at that, man.
Okay, representing the Scorpions. Let's go.
I'm gonna just leave it at that, man. Google me, Miles. Google me.
Let's go.
I have. So another thing I wanted to follow up with that, man, is you grew around the same kind of era that I grew around, but social media was a little different than it is now. And the whole recruiting process was different. And I know there was a lot of folks in Southern Cal that was coming. So who are some of the guys that you competed with high school wise?
Man, to be honest with you, I go back to basketball, when it comes down to that competition standpoint, because we grew up in LA at California high school. It was, we had the LA Unified, we had the city section, and then we had the Southern section. Southern section was CIF, city section was the city league. But really, it wasn't just about the high schools, because we also had AAU. And that's when we got to merge kind of those teams, and everybody was playing against each other. It was a different type of community back then when it came to sports. Like on the hoop court, like if we could play one night, a Wednesday night in a high school game, but then Saturday morning we on the playground getting at it.
And running, yeah.
And that's how we really knew who was the real deal when it came to the court. But we got guys like DJ Strawberry, Evan Moore. You got Buckets who went to Georgetown. It's just so many. It was so many guys in that time. Trevor Ariza was around. Amir Johnson was around. And it was never really about age. It was just about skill level. It was about who can compete. And we never really paid attention to who was older, who was younger. It was just like who has the balls to come out here and step on the court and really get at each other. And that's what made it so fun. And even now, to this day, when we see each other, it's always fun and competitive.
So you talk about the community, man, and you definitely represent and just showing the love of where you came from. So Inglewood's a little different around these parts, man. A little gentrification, I guess, is what we could call it, man. So most people should know the Super Bowl was just there, but they got this brand new stadium, and it's just changed a lot of your parts around it. Like, what's your message, or what you've heard from the community, or what you're seeing, or how, just your overall thoughts about that?
It's different. And I named a bunch of athletes, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my big brother. I'm not my little brother, Brian Flowers, who was out there competing at the same time, and Deshaun Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Because Deshaun grew up right down the street from me and still is, family to me, as you know. But to answer your question, Inglewood is different. I think everywhere is different right now. But specifically when you're talking about Inglewood, they put that spaceship in the middle of my city like that. It's man, it's kind of bittersweet for a lot of people in the city. If I'm being honest with you. And where they put that stadium, when I was in junior college going to El Camino, I lived right across the street from where they built. So it's right on Prairie and Manchester. So it's right next door to the Great Western Forum.
Yes.
Grew up around and the Inglewood Cemetery, which I grew up in Carlton Square. Not grew up, but I lived there in Carlton Square when I was going to junior college, right there right in the backyard of SoFi Stadium. And when you go down there, it's just completely different. They missed in a lot of areas. So I have this saying that it says, don't talk about me unless you're going to talk to me. And what I mean by that is you can't. A lot of people will try to talk about the Black community without talking to Black leaders and the Black people. Or any community. You can't change any community without talking to that community about what they want. And I think they miss, and you can tell by if you go down there and you see that there is a quarter square mile that is completely changed, completely new, and grown up. But at the same time, you go across the street
and it stops.
And it's a dead stop, and there's a big drop off. Now, in my mind, what you have to do is tap into that community and say, okay, I'm going to go to all these places and say, how can we help you grow your business? And how can we bring you up to a level and so you can meet us? Because if you do that, that's what makes it sustainable. Now, a lot of these people go out and say, how can I create the most revenue and make the most money as fast as I can? When really you should be thinking, how can I impact these people and make money as long as I can? And I think that's where they kind of miss when they gentrified my city. That's why when people from Inglewood say, back in the day it was real Inglewood.
Right. And I mean, you mentioned another historical, because I was going to ask you that, right? So, and you called it the Great Western Forum, which is its name. And LA's going through some identity stuff, right? First we lose the Staples Center, and now it's called the Kia Forum. And I'm just like, I saw that sponsorship deal, and I get it, get money. I understand that's part of the game, but sometimes you just got to understand, historical context. Like back to what you're saying, talk to me. You know what I mean? Don't talk about me, talk to me. So,
and again, I think you miss. I think you miss, like Kia, whatever it's called. Why not say the Kia Great Western Forum?
Yeah.
And still allow people to just to call it, because people will drop the, new people will say it, but you still get your sponsor.
You got your name in lights, but no one's gonna call it that. So why not bring the community in and say, hey, we're gonna call this the Kia Great Western Forum. We know that's what you call it. We know that you know it as that. We know that's nostalgic for you. So let's create something that you can relate to, but also bring us into the picture. But again, are you playing chess or are you playing checkers?
Checkers. Oh, that's one of my favorites right there. Let's go.
So college ball, man. University of Washington. Some may not know he was a receiver there. I'm sure people do know, and you obviously eventually went to fullback in the league. But just talk about University of Washington. And one of your teammates is one of my favorite players of all time. People don't know this. Isaiah Stanback.
What?
I love Isaiah Stanback with the Cowboys.
Okay.
I'm a Cowboys fan. So.
He's a Cowboy, and I saw that too. What year did he come out? Was that did he come out the same year?
Hey, hold on, EJ, hold on.
Get him. Get him.
I got to, man.
Listen, you will never say that publicly again. What is wrong with you, man?
Man, I respect the Cowboys. I put it that way. I respect them.
I could deal with
Cowboy
that.
fan, so you know where that kind of there's a whole.
But stand back. Let's
But
go back to Stan.
you can even preface it as I grew up a fan.
Yeah. I grew up a Cowboys fan. There we go.
You're-
That's what I meant.
So now you've grown and matured and came to the right side. You know what I'm talking about? Come on, man.
I feel you.
But
You got the question. He's like, what's the question?
so to answer your question, though, I'll say this. Going to UW in Seattle was one of the best decisions, besides marrying my wife and having my kids, was the best decision I made in my life. And a lot of people, especially in the sports world, question that because we didn't win enough games. And I didn't get drafted. And a lot of people blame that on
the conference and where you went. Right?
Well, not even the conference, because I was in the Pac-10.
Yeah.
I led the nation in yards per catch. But they blame it on not winning enough games and the coach that I had at the time, in Tyrone Willingham.
Oh, he struggled. That
and I challenge that all the time, because Tyrone Willingham was like, Tyrone Willingham was a great man. And he taught a lot of us how to be men, not just football players. But going to UW from Inglewood was a huge change, not just from the climate and weather, but just from the demographic of people that I was around. And UW, like going there, first person in my immediate family to graduate with his degree in college from a prestigious university. And, the people really embraced me there. They respected me, the way that I worked, the way that I led. And they taught me how to deal with adversity in football. Coming from a junior college program where, we were the best in the country and nobody could really step to us. And then coming into a place where I'm like, we have so much talent in this locker room, but yet haven't put it together. It prepared me for a lot of time in the league and just how to persevere and continue to grind while I was working on myself and helping my teammates at the same time.
Well, what is
but Isaiah was my first. I was being one of his number one receivers and watching the way he grind and Isaiah, you talk about like salt of the earth human beings. Isaiah is one of those guys. He was a really good leader. He was an extremely athletic player, and one thing he does have, he has a Super Bowl ring.
How's that?
It doesn't matter because he was with the Giants, but nevertheless.
So what's a memorable moment, man? Just like with, just being in college, the people you met, you shared that it was one of your best decisions. Yeah. So talk to us about a memorable moment. It doesn't have to be on the field, just in that experience in general,
And honestly, there's a lot of memorable moments, but geez, that's tough. That's tough to pick out one. I would probably gravitate towards a moment on the field because it's easier to relate. But still, I still hold the University of Washington and Pac-10 record for longest reception for a touchdown. 98 yards against Arizona. And
cover one over the top.
Come on, man.
0.
I had to go get it. It was it was cover one and I blow by and backed up. So, but it was good though. Because it's still there to this day and I still get calls about it and people still remember it. And those Husky fans are loyal. So I still run around and seeing people with those purple W hats on, and it's always a special fraternity to be a part of.
Now that's dope. That makes sense. All right, so let's kind of. Oh, you got something, man?
No, go ahead.
Let's roll into kind of like more in your career. So 2008, you come out. Ultimately, you sign with the Raiders. Tell us about that transition, right? Coming out as a receiver and then finding your way to where you become a fullback in the NFL. Undrafted, correct.
So that's crazy. I did think I was going to get drafted. There were a couple of teams in the third round, a couple of teams in the fourth round. I had a couple pre-draft trips and funny story is on my pre-draft trip to Oakland, I'm there suited and booted, like I'm like on this job interview, if you will. And Al Davis basically says, and the only in the way that he only could is you're gonna be a Raider. I'm like, yeah, okay. I hear you.
Right.
So making a long story short, I during the draft, I get a couple calls and I think, this gonna be the round, and neither one of them came. And then at the end of the 5th round, I get a call from Miami. He's just like, hey, you're not gonna get drafted. I'm like, yeah, all right, hang up real quick. So I just wait. And then early in the 6th round, I say, hey, you're not gonna get drafted. We're not gonna draft a receiver right now. If you sign with us, you'll be our only outside receiver that we sign, and we're gonna sign Devon Best as well. Devon and I knew each other. We were already previously friends, and I was just like,
boy, he was cold at Hawaii, boy. Ask him.
Yeah. Devon could go get it.
Yeah.
So I say fine. So I signed with Miami, and I go out there to rookie minicamp, and I absolutely kill it. I ball. Bill Parcells calls me right before I leave. I won their rookie MVP for the rookie minicamp, and it was just right after the year that they had went 1-15 or whatever it was. It was a bad year, and they had just brought in Bill Parcells and Tony Sperano as their new regime. And yeah, recipes. He was a good dude. And Bill Parcells bringing in his office. He says, "You're on the quarter system." And I say, "Yeah." He says, "I need you here May 15th." And I'm like, "Listen, I don't graduate until June 14th or June 15th." I said, "I don't have to walk, but I promised my mom and grandma I was going to finish this out, get my degree. I wasn't going to come back because I would never come back. I'm making money. I'm never going to come back. So I'm going to finish this out, and I could be here June 14th or as soon as finals are over. I'll be here." And he says, let me talk to my guys, and I'll get back to you. And then I get back to Seattle, and I get a call the next morning that says, "Hey, we're going to have to release you. We need everybody here for all of off-season workouts, all of mini camps, and this is going to be special to us because we're not going to have a losing team." Mm-hmm. And Parcells like, "But I really respect the way you work, and I hope our paths cross another time." And I'm like, "Okay, bet. I appreciate it." And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, am I going to, did I just miss out on my opportunity? I'm undrafted. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm like, I may have just missed out on my opportunity. And 24 hours later, Al calls. "I told you you'd be a Raider."
Let's go.
And they still made me try out.
Right.
So I came to that year, the Raider rookie mini camp was like the first week of May. It wasn't the weekend of the draft. So I was like, cool. So I was able to do the Raider rookie mini camp. I had to do 2 rookie mini camps that year, and I won MVP for that because I came in as a receiver, and then we had a tight end get hurt the first day. So the second day I played tight end, and then we had a running back get hurt. So the third day I played running back and tight end, and I won MVP for that rookie mini camp. And I never forget Greg Knapp, rest in peace. Also, he came to me at the end of the day when they handed me the MVP helmet. He says, "The more you can do, you'll last in this league." And that's the first time I heard that phrase. And I mean, after that, I've heard it year after year after year, time after time after time. But it was when it clicked, like, I'm just going to outwork everybody. And that's when I was just like, "I told you to be a Raider."
Was that a plan? Was that a plan always for you to be fullback, or that just kind of happened that way?
So the way the fullback thing happened, I came back. So that was in May. I can't come back in July after graduation to because I missed all off-season workouts because I was still in school. But I came back to training camp. I showed up to training camp, and I'm still a receiver. I was wearing number 81 at the time. And I was still receiver for the first week of training camp. All receiver. Second week of training camp, I haven't told this story much, but I go into my locker, and if a lot of people don't know, but when you go into the locker, like when you're in training camp, it's a revolving door. A lot of people get cut every single day. It's not just on cut day.
Right.
So the way it used to get cut back in the day is it was so early that they would basically just take your jersey out of the locker, rehang another jersey because another person was coming in, probably from another position, because somebody gets hurt, so usually they tell people before they get to the locker room. But I used to get up early, so I go to the locker room. This is the second week of training camp. I go to the locker room and 81 is out of my locker. And the number 45 is there. This is the second week of training camp. I'm like, dang, I just got cut. And I'm walking out of the locker room and I'm like, I'm just gonna pack my stuff. I'm embarrassed. I'm sick. I'm like, man, I'm gonna get out of here, man. Let me run up out of here real quick. Because I didn't know the process. So I'm walking out of the locker room and Bob Romanski, I don't even think he knows it. Bob doesn't know this. He's still here today, but Bob doesn't know this. It was the best equipment manager known to man. He says, do you like your new digs? And I was like, my new digs? And he was just like, your new number. You haven't seen it yet? And I was like, oh, yeah.
Play the joint off.
I turned it off real quick. And Al had changed my number to 45. And I come out there and, Lane Kiffin's like, oh, you look like a real full. Oh, no, it was Tom Cable. He says, you look like a real fullback now. And I was like, okay, so I'm moving. And Al just said he had a vision. He had a vision of what I would be. And I'm just like, man, I'm sitting there like Pops, like, fullback. I hadn't even put my hand in the dirt before because I was a receiver my entire life. But he had a vision. He just said, you're going to be the best in the world. Trust me.
Let's go.
So the biggest disappointment for me, besides not bringing a Super Bowl to the Raider organization as a player, I still have a chance as an executive, but not as a player, was he never got to see me recognized as the best in the world.
Wow.
I mean, the 4-time Pro Bowler, all pro.
Right, but he passed before my first Pro Bowl.
Oh.
So the year I made my first Pro Bowl was the year he passed in week 4.
Wow.
So he never I was.
Damn, I just got chills.
They said I was the best in the world.
Yeah.
But he wasn't alive to witness me recognized by the rest of the world as the best.
From his vision. Wow.
From his vision.
Yo.
So that for me was like, damn, I missed it. I missed that, But Mark got to witness it a few times.
Yeah, I feel you. So real quick, like what, a guy that's kind of a utility guy now is in the news with Debo and he, trade or whatever the case may be. But do you kind of envy, like, yo, man, I'm the originator of this kind of utility guy offense. Do you feel some kind of, like, I've been doing this.
It's funny that you mentioned that because there's times, if you're watching the broadcast, be like, oh, there's been nobody like that.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Excuse me?
But I'll say this. I don't necessarily envy it. It still makes me proud because some of those guys, a lot of those guys, I'll see them in different places, their events, and they thank me for how I got down. And even to the point where some guys will actually be humble enough to admit, like, hey, I had a coach show me your film. Like that choice route you used to run, I watched your film, how you did it. So, I'm proud of it, man, because a lot of times it's not about me, like they say, oh, you were the first. Well, the point is not to be the last. Yeah. So it's about progressing the game, like getting to the top, then reaching your hand down and bringing somebody else up. That's what it's really about. So it's something that I'm definitely proud of because I was genuine to myself when I played ball. You know, I always said I didn't want to be pigeonholed by the two initials as a position that was next to my name. I wanted to be a playmaker. And I'm still able to do that now as an executive. People say, what's your job description? My job description is the same job description I had when I played. Do whatever I can that's in my power to help the Raider organization be a champion on and off the field, period.
Well, let's get into it. Let's get into it. So I mean, it's an amazing, unique role, right? You know, especially for someone with your hue, right? So we love to see that. And that's just volumes. And that's one of the reasons we have this podcast. Yes, your hue. You like that, right? Going back to Jay-Z 444, the same hue as you, right? Bars. How did that come about, man? Talk to us, like, you know, and your position, just by the title, you can tell that was something that was created. So back, you know, talking about vision, is this another vision that's going to come to prophecy?
Yeah, but this went from Al's vision to Mark's vision.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what's really special about it. You know, Mark and I, we laugh about it. It was the longest interview ever. And it lasted for years and years. You know, we got to a point where, you know, I had, you know, left ball and then I went into TV. And, you know, although people say, oh, you're great at this or you're great at, you know, the whole TV thing, it wasn't necessarily fulfilling for me. Mm-hmm. And he felt like he, you know, he got to a point where he said, I want you home. And basically what I told him was, you know, he didn't need me. I didn't necessarily need to come back for a job, but we both wanted it. And I told him, I said, listen, if we are aligned in the vision for this and what the goal is and being intentional about what we're doing and making it worth something instead of just a figurehead, if you will, mm-hmm. then let's do it. And he was on the same page. He was like, this is important. And you know, Mark's very intentional about what he does, which is something that I've always respected about him and appreciated and learned from at the same time. And we made it happen, and I'm here. And
go ahead, my bad.
And you know, the role is forever evolving, if you will.
Utility man. Everything. Yeah, do everything. Make plays. That boy make plays. That's what you do. Hey man, I think I've told you this before, man, but I'll be ready for the book when it comes out. But because you have the blueprint, we always talk about on this show for, you know, players and what that transition is like into the next life, into your next career, man. But you seem to do that flawlessly. Where did you learn that from? How did you get into the knowledge of, like, this is what I want to do? Was it during you playing? How did that whole process work?
Honestly, it's about where I grew up from. It goes back to Inglewood. You know what I'm saying? We grew up in a lot of people say, you know, a chameleon. You know, we're versatile. We're able to, you know, walk into any building, any boardroom, and demand respect, give respect, and be effective and add value at the same time. You know, back in the day, it was us being able to walk into any hood, no matter what color you had on, and be respected, because we were always loyal to our color, but we were able to be respected in any neighborhood we went to because of the way we carried ourselves, and also being able to protect and defend ourselves at the same time. You know, and it's really, you know, it's funny, but at the same time, it's the same concept, because, you know, we can demand respect, give respect, and add value to any boardroom, any company that we walk into. And that's really what it's all about, being genuine.
Wow. So with your type of role, right? And then just kind of like that long interview process, and you said, as long as we can both meet, was there something that you said that, like, I need to see this, or something that's in your key value structure that you wanted to see a part of this role that maybe you added that wasn't even initially a part of that?
No, because we've always had the same values. We've always had the same morals. I already knew what Mark stood for. Like, we were already family before. So that stuff didn't even need to be discussed. Like, it's his values, his morals, and what he stands for is why we're so close anyway. So I didn't even, what's understood don't need to be explained when it comes to that stuff.
Absolutely. And then preparing for this role, because like Miles said, man, we definitely waiting for the book. We'll have you back when you do the book, because the transition is really hard for a lot of players. I mean, on all levels, not just the professional level. So, do you think you were NFLPA representative while you were with the Raiders during your time, and did you find any skills that just kind of did that add something to your tool belt to prepare you for future roles?
Being in that role helped me with my patience.
Right, I can see that 1,000%.
But from what you said, a lot of to your point, a lot of players do have issues transitioning, and that's one of the aspects of this role is being able to help players transition. We are starting an initiative. We are starting an academy, a leadership academy, right next door here on Raiders Way, the Al Davis Eddie Robison Leadership Academy. And one of those processes and areas that we are going to be able to tap into and focus on is helping current players and recently retired players learn about themselves, what they want to do, how they want to transition, and really tap into those leadership aspects and help them be decision makers when they leave this game. And be able to impact and change the world however they want to do it, but giving them the tools to be able to do it.
That's fantastic. That's good stuff.
You said learning about yourself, man, and being a team captain 5 times, man. It's more about others than it is about you. What did you learn about yourself within that team captain role?
That I could focus more on others and better myself at the same time. A lot of people, especially in the position that I was in, like listen, I was undrafted. It's a lot of people see it as the Hunger Games, especially as a fullback. Like, listen, there were a lot of coaches didn't like me or like my game or like the way I went about things sometimes. So you don't always have that person in your corner that's a coach. Right. But at the same time, so I say that to say, before I was actually granted earned the starting fullback job, there had been 12 other fullbacks that they tried to put in that spot before me. They were taking them off other people's practice squads. They were bringing them off the street, off the couch, and I'm sitting there right in front of their noses. And they bringing all people. I mean, it was like a revolving door. And I'm sitting there like, man, I can't even get a shot. But at the same time, that helped me so much because even when I was the starter, when another fullback came in there, I didn't take it personal. I tried to help that person. So being a captain, that was my responsibility. Mm-hmm. And like I said, a lot of people see it as the Hunger Games, but really we could tap in and help each other at the same time and make each other better because iron sharpens iron. And you have to be confident in your own preparation, confident in your own skills and the will of God, really, when it comes down to it, because you don't have any control over a lot of things. So, that's just really what it taught me about myself. Like we can really tap into others and help others while, benefiting ourselves as well.
Love it. MH, you ready to hit him with the quick hits?
Yeah, I got just 4 quick questions for you. So
I think let me go grab a charger real quick. Y'all,
yeah, do your thing.
This ain't live, is it?
We recorded it, but it's not. But we are there. Go ahead, get your charger, man. We don't want you to fall out, and we'll let MH prepare the quick hits. Definitely the first. But no, I think it's really a testament of growth and like just what he's doing, and I definitely want to hear about like how that leadership academy, and we're going to get into like the winner circle too. And when we get into that, I know that's going to be just like a large part of what he's building or what the team's vision of building.
Yeah, and it's dope about his NFLPA stuff too, man, and how that in a way it's probably prepared him for where he's at right now.
Oh yeah, because you could just imagine the list of complaints from wanting certain music played, like from the Steelers, wanting certain music played during practice, right?
Yeah.
I can only imagine like the snacks in the cafeteria, some shit like that.
Yeah.
But in the other testament, I think the biggest thing that I'm glad he shared that with us is just like the two visions, man. To hear one that we all want to reach a certain level, to where we want to achieve, but to have someone, believe in you in that level and just say, no, you're going to be a Raider, and then have the vision of what position that they want to put you in. Like that's a
crazy.
whole nother level, man. So excited.
Yeah,
All right,
to that
y'all,
point, man, Al believed in me at times more than I believed in myself.
that shit's amazing, man. It's great to
Because
have
it wasn't just peaches and cream throughout that process from draft a free agent, change the fullback, and it was definitely a learning process because it was something I had never done. I had to learn football from a completely different perspective, and it helped me learn the game and be a student of the game, which is how changing the fullback helped me get my doctorate in football.
There you go.
Very good, bro.
Because you have to look at it from a different lens. I growing up and going to school and playing receiver, I was just like, okay, read this coverage. I could read the coverage. Furthest down I got was, is this linebacker going to come buzz into my curl flat or not? So when I change the fullback and it's like, wait, I got to know what a 55 front is.
Yeah.
I got to know what an even front is. I got to actually read these holes and understand what, the hat placement and alignment looks like. And then not only that, but then understand what a linebacker is and the safety.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I really got to lock in. And there was a lot of, and I'll say this, there was a lot of coaches. Kelly Skipper, my running back coach, he helped me a ton. Tom Cable, man, when Tom Cable was the head coach, he used to meet me every Friday when I really started playing. He used to meet with me every Friday before we played to teach me really how to look at film in a snapshot and understand how particular players were going to play me. Because I had to use, as a transition, being a 6'3" fullback and playing against a 5'10" linebacker, low man always wins.
Yes, sir.
So he taught me how to watch a player on a Friday, all their best plays, and understand how I could use, my attributes against him in order to win every single play.
That's what's up.
So I was able to learn football from a different level, and like I said, earn my doctorate in football.
There it is. All right.
So a couple quick hits. First thing that come to mind with this: number 3 or number 45?
3, man. He was that guy. When I put that, listen,
was the guy.
he was the guy. When I was in college and I wore that number 3, I wanted number 2 because that was my number in high school. That was my number in junior college. But it was retired at the University of Washington at the time, and Coach Willingham was a stickler for not taking out retirement for me. So I put the 3 on it, and it was different. 45, man. I honestly didn't like the number when I first got it.
It's tradition now, though.
Yeah, it's 45. Is it true? Like,
that's
that's locked in.
It's different. That's like it's my heart, man. My son loves it now.
Cool.
I love it. It's something that I definitely can identify with and feel, personally from a selfish standpoint, feel like I remember Kelly Skipper. I was like, man, 45, and he was like, it was my pops, man. My dad. I was like, man, 45. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. How I'm gonna make this number look right.
Yeah, MJ.
And he's like, he said, boy, you go make that number famous.
Let's go.
You make it look good. And I was like, that's a bet. I'm gonna do that. So even now, man, like, when I run into kids, like, man, I wear 45 because of you. And I'm just like, man, that's what's up.
That's what's up.
The Wood or loving basketball?
Ooh, I gotta go. I thought I'm gonna go with the Wood. Sorry, Sanaya.
Yeah, that's a correct answer. Correct answer. You a basketball guy? MJ Jordan or MJ or LeBron? My fault. MJ Jordan.
You can see where he's leaning.
I gotta go with MJ, man.
All right. Shout out to your favorite teammate in the past.
Ooh, that's too hard.
Top 3.
I'm gonna shout out. Listen, we spent more time together, than we did with our actual families, and that's what when you retire, that's what you really miss.
The locker room.
But some of my best friends in the world, guys I came in with, Darren McFadden,
yes sir,
Tyvon Branch, Khalif Barnes, Tywan Jones, Jacoby Ford. We got a group chat where we talk every single day of our lives, like our kids, our nieces and nephews.
That's dope.
Russell Wilson is still a great friend of mine. Bobby Wagner, still a great friend of mine who I play with. There's some people out there that, I mean, there's some guys out there that I'm extremely, extremely close with. There's a lot of great friends out there.
Love it.
All right, would you rather catch a touchdown, 99 yards, or ISO 99 yards? You had some big runs, Jets. That Jets run.
I just want to get in there.
No matter.
Don't matter. Just get in there.
I just want to get in there. Like
whether you hurdling or you bullying people, you just want to get in there.
That's all it is. That's it. I just want to get in there by any means necessary. Let's just go get in there. Let's get into the paint. Let's celebrate with our fans. Jump in the black hole, and then celebrate with my teammates. Let's just get in there.
That's love it. Your world, EJ.
So getting into the winner's circle, man, this is where we like to give a platform. That's one of the things that we've loved about building this show, and it's just a platform. And I think it's really in cadence of everything you've done. And just want to talk a little bit about your foundation. And I don't know if people know that you have a foundation out there, and just kind of tell us a little bit about the foundation.
Well, honestly, the Marcel Reece Foundation in particular, that one is really just to, like, when you start a nonprofit, you're supposed to dial down really what your purpose is and your mission statement. My mission statement was really just to help kids to get into the cities that the city that I grew up in, and cities like it, similar. So I was in Inglewood, and I was in Oakland, and I was just starting to go to cities that really just help kids. At one point, it was fighting childhood obesity, and then a couple years later, it switched up because a lot of the public school athletic programs were starting to get done away with because they didn't have funds. So okay, let's switch up and let's try and do whatever we have to do to keep these athletic programs in these schools, in the public school system, because I know how much it helped me, and I don't know where I would be without my athletic program at my public school. But I think really the foundation I want to talk about is the Al Davis Eddie Robison Leadership Academy that we're currently building and coming forward. It's really a brainchild of Mark Davis, and he first came up with the idea because the National Football League started an initiative where teams had to give money. It was $5 million over the course of 10 years to social justice initiatives. Well, Mark Davis said, you're saying 5, well, I'm going to match that, and I'm going to go 10 for every club. So he was going to donate $10 million to social justice initiatives. And we're sitting there thinking, why not be intentional about this instead of just giving it to some, random organization or foundation where you don't know where those funds go to and who they're helping. Right. Let's create something that can be experienced. And the initial idea was to help Black men and women, people of color, minorities, become head coaches in the National Football League. Well, then, long story short, we end up buying the Aces, and we're like, okay, well, let's not just help the NFL, let's help all sports. And then we see how this thing starts to grow, and this idea starts to grow, and see how we can affect people, and said, okay, we're going to go from NFL to other sports to society as a whole. Let's change the world. And we want to do that by actually creating a brick and mortar, a building. We have 35,000 square feet where we're putting this amazing auditorium. We're creating curriculums and cohorts where we can not only teach Black men and women how to be head coaches in the National Football League, but now we're teaching them leadership skills. Right. Because it's so much bigger than just sports. It's so much bigger than the NFL and football. This is about actually changing the world, creating some substance and being sustainable in our effort to make change. And that's what's so important right now. We need leaders. We need people to recognize that leaders, the look of a leader is changing. You know, there are leaders out there that look like us. And when I go into these, you know, these inner city schools that are underrepresented and underprivileged, like I can tell them that there's a leader that looks just like you, that comes from the place you come from, that speaks the same language that you speak, that listens to the same music that you listen to. And that's why guys like Miles, men like Miles, and men like you, EJ, are living examples and proof that these kids in these cities can be leaders. The kids that look like you can be leaders. And we want to help teach them those leadership attributes that, you know, they may be missing or they may not have been taught before. And that's what the Academy is all about. We have a phenomenal board. Our leading board member is a man that's on the back of your banner there, right in the middle, holding his fist up, and Tommy Smith.
That's
lives right here in Las Vegas. We brought him out here to Las Vegas. Mark Davis single-handedly brought him out here in Las Vegas. He's on our board, and he will be there. So now, you know, as you who are educated Black men who know about Tommy Smith and him raising his fist on the Olympic podium after winning a gold medal, you know about him, but a kid in second or third or fifth or maybe even a high school doesn't necessarily know about him. They see him as a poster or a legend or a Wheaties box. Well, we're going to bring him in front of those kids. So Tommy Smith, they can hear his voice, see his story, hear his story, get advice from Tommy Smith. And that's what it's all about. So it's Tommy Smith. We got Reggie Jackson, Hall of Fame baseball player from the Yankees, Tom Flores, Mark Davis, Eddie Robinson III, who is the namesake of Eddie Robinson. You know, Arshell is involved with us. Stedman Graham, who is a phenomenal educator, most know him as Oprah's man, but he's a phenomenal educator and a brilliant man. And we are so looking forward to just really being able to create change from a genuine level at the highest level. And I really genuinely feel that it's going to change this community.
That's amazing, man. Like just that alone. Yeah, we need to do a whole episode, and we need to follow up. So any way that we can be a vehicle to kind of get that information out, you know, post it on our social and just share all of that. You know, we definitely want to be a part of that because that's amazing that's here.
I think there's definitely going to be a time for that. You know, Miles drives by it every day. The building is not built yet. You know, we ran into COVID, so he's got these supply chain issues, and the building starts getting pushed back. The building is actually going to be connected to the Las Vegas Aces, where their practice facility is going to be, and they're going to be involved in it because we, like, when it comes to being diverse and being equitable and having inclusion, you know, we definitely want to tap into the females and really help them have a platform to show their skills as well, because there are some phenomenal female leaders that need to be showcased. And then there's some female leaders that are up and coming that just need that push so they can be phenomenal leaders of the world as well.
Awesome. All right, man. So we've come to wrapping it up, man. We're coming to the assist, man. This is where you either give us a word you live by, something you would tell your younger self, or just a quote. So give us that coaching gem, man.
Man. That's good. There's a couple, but I'll tell you this. I always say you're either doing things on purpose or you're doing things with purpose. And, you know, I don't just do anything just to do it. I like to do it with purpose, everything that I do. I don't like to talk much just to hear myself speak. But when I open my mouth, I want it to hold weight, and I want it to be valuable to whomever is hearing it or listening to it.
Let's go, man. Well, let's get out of here. MH, man. Final words.
Hey, man, you've been very valuable to us and our listeners, man. And that's love, man. I appreciate your time, bro. It's all love, man.
Awesome.
Anytime, man. I appreciate y'all having me on. Anytime. I'm always here.
Let's go. Well, hey, we want to thank our guest, man. Reece, man. Appreciate you just immensely, man. We want to thank you, the people, for listening. So please, I hope you enjoyed the show. We drop a new show every Thursday. So understand, please subscribe to the YouTube channel because visual representation matters. All right. If you see it, you can be it. So subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Please stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Look. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap and back.